juries don't like liars. Trials are about credibility.
Blake Lively appears to be unraveling after Judge Lyman firmly rejected her claims, shutting down sweeping legal demands she unsuccessfully pursued publicly.
In Blake Lively's case, just slapped down their psychopathic request.
And the court said no.
Every single effort to sway the court has collapsed, leaving her embarrassed, beaten, and without options. Hollywood's power games cannot rescue her at this point anymore now.
News, Justinbaldoni just got a big win, meaning Blake Lively got a big...
That day, the Hollywood elite illusion collapsed as Blake Lively suffered a legal thrashing so humiliating that even her own attorneys seemed eager to vanish into the walls, making you wonder if her lawyers were clueless. This wasn't merely a court hearing, it was a full-scale public embarrassment showcase, with Judge Louis J. Lyman tearing apart her legal team as if delivering a live stand-up routine, and the audience was loving it.
Personal. It's getting more personal. They're going to discover more information that's going to make them angry. They're out to salvage their reputation, so there's not going to be an easy way to walk away from this and say, okay, let's just call it a day.
Lively walked into the courtroom as if she were about to land a decisive strike against Justinbaldoni, flaunting her Hollywood influence, elite connections, and a fantasy where fame alone bends the law in her favor. But instead she was hit with such a crushing legal defeat that even Ryanreynolds seemed wise enough to stay far away from the unfolding disaster.
Not able to hold a logical thought, but guess what? I, as a judge, I am able to hold a logical thought, so we're going to slap that down. You obviously cannot.
Oh, and speaking of humiliation, the judge didn't deny her outrageous legal demands. He played the leaked audio in open court. Yes, the same recording she and Ryanreynolds have been desperately trying to bury, the one they believed they could erase from existence by pulling their Hollywood strings.
So I think there could be some argument about whether it was leaked and shouldn't have been leaked, and should they have the information or what it may be. But no matter what happens, this is a damning quote.
Blake's entire case collapsed in real time, her credibility ignited, and the worst part was she couldn't do a damn thing about it. Baldoni, on the other hand, secured a major legal victory, standing tall while Blake's reputation disintegrated into dust. No PR spin, no TMZ leaks to rescue her, no celebrity friends rushing to defend. Just cold, hard reality hitting her squarely in the face for everyone watching.
It is so clear Blake's case is falling apart. She's destroying her cred. Ryanreynolds.
Now, let's talk about just how comically unhinged her legal requests were, because the level of delusion was off the charts, as Lively actually had the nerve to walk into that courtroom and demand 2.5 years of Baldoni's phone records, text messages, emails, location data, and even his doctor visits.
Case just slapped down their psychopathic request for 2.5 years worth of every message that Justinbaldoni and Justin Heath and the PR agents have ever sent to everybody, plus location data. We knew that was going to happen.
Yes, you read that right. She essentially tried to turn a Hollywood lawsuit into a full-scale FBI surveillance mission, as if she were starring in a spy thriller instead of a courtroom drama, leaving everyone wondering what she honestly expected to uncover: his Uber Eats receipts from 2022, Amazon purchases from 3 Christmases ago, or some random doctor's note casually stating that Mr. Baldoni had a headache that day.
Distinguish between the two, what a standard court protective order is and what Blake Lively's team is asking for, which is an attorney's eyes only designation.
And the judge wasn't having a single second of her nonsense. He glanced at the absurd, overreaching subpoena and shut it down so fast you could almost hear the air being sucked out of Blake's ego, his words cutting through with overly intrusive and disproportionate. Translation: Blake, are you out of your mind? Let's get real.
You obtain all of these text messages through subpoena. Okay, what's subpoena? You can only issue a subpoena if you have an open legal case. So you have to have a valid legal case. I can't just issue a subpoena to, the New York Times.
Lively filed this lawsuit in December 2024, yet somehow believed she was entitled to Baldoni's personal data reaching all the way back to 2022. The math wasn't matching, the logic wasn't logicking, and Judge Lyman called her out in the most brutal way possible, making it clear this isn't the FBI, and you don't get to track someone's every move, and boom. Right there was the exact moment her entire case took a violent nosedive straight into the pavement.
She wants different rules for her than she wants for Baldoni and his team, which I don't think the judge will agree.
This isn't some Hollywood movie where she gets to write the script. This is real life. Real court, real legal consequences. Blake tried to rewrite the legal system like she was the main character, but the judge delivered a brutal reality check. And the best part? The actual courtroom meltdown. Witnesses reported Blake physically tensing, whispering frantically to her legal team, and visibly shaking as the judge dismantled her case in real time. Imagine striding in with confidence, thinking you've got it all under control, only to end up looking like a deer in headlights while the judge obliterates your entire legal strategy.
So it kind of makes them look like they're trying to take that video, now that it's out, and kind of spin it in a different direction.
And Ryan Reynolds? Nowhere to be found. The same guy who thrives on tweeting jokes and creating viral moments suddenly turned into Casper the Friendly Ghost the moment things got serious. Sure, he can crack jokes on Twitter all day, but defending his wife as she made a fool of herself in court? Nope, not a word. He clearly knew exactly what was coming and wisely decided to sit out this disaster.
To do this, it was Blake Lively, it was Ryan Reynolds, this was their strategy, and now they kind of want to put the genie back in the bottle. But guess what? The genie does not want to go back in the bottle. The genie likes to be free.
And let's talk about her lawyers, because by this point even they had to realize they were defending the legal equivalent of a dumpster fire. They stood there as the judge eviscerated their entire argument, likely questioning every life decision that led them to this moment, and you just know in their heads they were thinking, asterisk, why did we take this case? How did we end up here?
Lawyers are stupid. It's like he's like being nice here. He's like, your lawyers are really stupid.
And then, in the most desperate attempt to save face, Blake and her team tried to spin this humiliating loss as a win, because, of course, this is Hollywood, where losing is somehow winning, failure is success, and Blake apparently thinks she can gaslight the entire world into believing this wasn't a total disaster. Spoiler alert, it was.
It just blows my mind how dumb Blake Lively's team is, and how just, I guess, egocentric, maniacal that she thinks that she can tell the world, you didn't see what you actually saw with your eyes. It's insane.
Because this isn't just a legal loss. This is public shaming at its finest. This is Blake Lively's credibility going up in flames in real time. A courtroom meltdown so massive and absurd that it's now officially playing out in public for everyone to see.
The audio Blake and Ryan's agent seemingly didn't want you to hear.
I wonder if you could tell us about a little bit of a mess that I gather you've been involved in.
Oh yeah. I know where you're going with this one.
Do you have notes on it?
Oh yeah. Those are the two things I said to my.
And just when you thought things couldn't get any worse for her, the judge authorized a live audio feed of the next hearing. That's right, no more PR spin, no Hollywood protection, no carefully staged TMZ leaks. The world now gets front row seats to the absolute legal chaos that is Blake Lively's case, and trust me, it's going to be glorious.
It seems insurmountable. It seems like this case cannot be.
A live audio feed means everyone will hear it for themselves. No more sources close to Blake spinning some nonsense narrative. This is unfiltered, uncut, raw courtroom reality. Blake thought she could waltz in, demand insane subpoenas, and rewrite the legal system in her favor, but instead, she walked out with the single most humiliating legal loss of her career, and honestly, she deserves every second of it.
Not a little hypocritical? Is this a bad look of her if she's trying to tell the courts that we should stop talking about this?
The judge did the one thing Blake Lively feared most. He authorized an audio feed of the next hearing. That's right. Blake's courtroom blunders are about to be broadcast for the world to hear in real time.
I'm a ride or die. That's why he did it. Because he basically said, okay, fine, yeah, Ryan and Blake, I'm going to go with you. So you did that. You destroyed this man's life rather than...
No more TMZ leaks. No carefully curated PR stunts. No sources close to Blake spinning nonsense to make her look like a victim. Now everyone gets to hear for themselves exactly how embarrassing this case is. The sheer panic Blake must be feeling right now? Absolutely priceless.
So glad they did. But now she wants all other footage to not come forward. And we're supposed to be like, yeah, you go, girl.
She walked in thinking she could manipulate the narrative, play the innocent Hollywood princess, and control what the public sees. Instead, she lost complete control over everything, and the best part? She knows she's cooked. That's why she fought so hard to keep this buried, begged the court for an extreme protective order, hoping to hide her lies, overreach, and nonsense. And now, it's all coming out in the open.
Point of like, well, then why do you need 2 years worth? In her own suit, she alleges this campaign started in August. So why the reach for 2.5 years? Was nice to see the judge really sort of acknowledge that. This was the.
At no more backstage Hollywood deals to suppress evidence, no more Ryan Reynolds scrambling to call in favors from his A-list friends to clean up the mess, and no more Blake Lively pretending to be the victim while running one of the most aggressive smear campaigns Hollywood has ever seen.
You can now see that Ryan was panicked in general.
Because, let's be real, she never wanted justice. She wanted power. She aimed to weaponize the courts to ruin Baldoni's life, and now that she's being exposed in real time, the meltdown is about to be spectacular. Oh, and speaking of being exposed, let's talk about the leaked audio that completely torched Blake and Ryan Reynolds' entire "we're innocent" act.
This dispute, these words that were said by Lively's side had a clear, immediate negative impact on Baldoni's career.
This wasn't merely a recording. It was a full-blown Hollywood scandal bombshell. March 2025, revealing a recording of Ari Emanuel, CEO of WME, one of Hollywood's most powerful agencies, flatly admitting Baldoni was blacklisted because of Blake and Ryan, showing these two personally orchestrated his career's destruction. And the shocking part was Emanuel discussing it casually, as if it meant nothing at all to everyone listening worldwide that day.
What we're seeing now with this quote is WME absolutely got rid of him because of these things that were said. And so now he's got a clear line to get damaged.
He didn't even have the basic human decency to call Baldoni by his real name. He called him Bon. Let that sink in.
Bad situation that Baldoni, whatever his name is doing. And it's part.
It's an effed up situation. Whatever, Baldoni, whatever his name is doing. Whatever, he's your client. What a scumbag.
Imagine being blacklisted by the most powerful agent in Hollywood, fired not because of talent or merit, but over a petty revenge plot cooked up by a Hollywood power couple, and then mocked behind your back like some high school bully, with that psychopathic request hanging in the air while Blake sat there smiling and pretending she had nothing to do with it. Ryan Reynolds probably cracking jokes on Twitter while quietly helping destroy a man's entire career, and the moment that recording dropped, everything changed. Because suddenly they weren't in control anymore and a full-blown crisis exploded right in their faces.
Psychopathic.
Because this isn't speculation anymore, this isn't allegations, this is proof that Blake and Ryan weren't innocent bystanders in Baldoni's blacklisting. They made it happen, they pushed for it, and when they got caught, they ran straight to their Hollywood PR teams to spin a new narrative. But here's the best part. The podcast where that bombshell confession happened, oh yeah, that one mysteriously disappeared.
A lot of people who are even a lot less powerful than Ari Emanuel would have the power to do that, so that doesn't surprise me.
Freakonomics, the podcast where Emanuel casually exposed the entire operation, suddenly lost the recording, the audio gone, the YouTube video vanished, oops. Technical difficulties, they claim the show wasn't recorded at all. The biggest Hollywood cover-up of the year just conveniently disappearing. But here's the thing about real journalists. They don't play by Hollywood's rules.
And that's why you think, like you mentioned before, that you think this video is the most damning evidence that Baldoni has so far.
I think so. And it's better.
Someone secretly recorded it anyway, and now that evidence is out there, Blake's entire legal strategy has collapsed under its own weight. The victim act is finished. The idea that Baldoni was making it all up is gone. And now we move on to Blake's next desperate attempt to stop her carefully built house of lies from completely crumbling.
They didn't record the show.
Because after being publicly humiliated, exposed for blacklisting a man, and caught in a cover-up attempt, what does she do? She tries to spin a court ruling as a win. Oh, of course she does.
Have somebody who has a significant amount of power in the industry and has the ability to tell stars not to go on your podcast in the future, and has general ability to make life uncomfortable for you and ask for a favor, you're more inclined to do it, right?
She begged the judge for an extreme protective order, one that would have essentially let her hide anything and everything she wanted from the public. She wasn't just trying to keep sensitive documents private. She was pushing for a full-blown information lockdown, and the reason was obvious, because she knows that if this case ever goes to trial, she's finished.
So I was able to read the amended complaint, which, by the way, it's very abnormal. It's almost 180 pages, 400 and some odd paragraphs. Complaints are not normally that long, but this one has to be for public consumption.
She knows that all the evidence, the texts, the emails, the proof that she and Ryan Reynolds orchestrated this entire scheme will come out eventually, and when it does, her carefully curated Hollywood image will go straight into the trash. But the judge wasn't buying it. He outright rejected her request, making it clear that no matter how much Blake and Ryan want to believe they're above the law, the legal system is not their personal playground.
He's your client. What a scumbag you.
The judge made it crystal clear. No sealing of documents, no hiding behind fake privacy claims, no censorship of evidence. His ruling? Very few secrets will stay hidden if this case goes to trial. Translation: Blake, your entire game is over. And Baldoni's legal team saw right through her. His attorney called her out, roasting her pathetic attempt to spin this as a win, because this was never about privacy. It was about controlling the narrative. She wanted the power to cherry-pick what the public sees, to decide which documents get exposed and which mysteriously vanish into the Hollywood black hole.
Was what the fight was over.
So Blake Lively, her team wanted to have a rubber stamp that said attorney's eyes only, and they wanted to use it in their discretion on any document they wanted.
Yeah.
And that presumably would make it an attorney's eyes only designation unless.
And now that plan is officially dead. The hypocrisy is staggering. Blake Lively, the same woman who spent months leaking selective information to the press, weaponizing the media, and planting biased narratives, is suddenly terrified of too much information coming out. I wonder why. Let's be real. She never cared about protecting anyone's privacy. If she did, she wouldn't have spent the past year dragging every detail of Baldoni's personal life into court. She wanted full access to his private life, but the second the court says, okay, we get to see her mess too, suddenly she's crying about privacy violations. She wanted to play judge, jury, and executioner, and now that the actual judge has called her out, she's scrambling for cover, but it's too late.
Inching towards that percentage of lawsuits that don't settle, we could very well see a trial in this case.
The ruling is clear. The trial will be public, the evidence will be public, the courtroom audio will be public, and Blake Lively is out of options. Just like that, she is officially the loneliest person in Hollywood.
Yeah, not only did she want a protective order, but she wanted the right to unilaterally designate documents as attorney's eyes only. And that's a higher designation than confidential, because what it means is only the attorneys could see those documents, not the party.
Where are her powerful, influential friends? Where's the Hollywood girl squad that used to parade around like they were untouchable? Where's Taylor Swift, Gigi Hadid, the A-list besties who were always by her side when times were good?
Gone. Silent.
Vanished into thin air, because Hollywood can smell a sinking ship from a mile away, and right now, Blake Lively is practically Titanic in real time. It's actually hilarious. She spent years portraying herself as Hollywood royalty, giving empowerment speeches about sisterhood, feminism, and standing together. But now, not a single one of her so-called friends is willing to stand next to her as this disaster unfolds. Taylor Swift? Completely distancing herself. Not a peep of support from the woman who once called Blake her ride or die. Not even a cryptic Instagram post. A fake show of solidarity. Nothing. Gigi Hadid? Nowhere to be found. Hollywood elites? Radio silence. Even Ryan Reynolds, her own husband, hasn't said a single word in her defense. You know it's bad when your own partner won't even issue a lukewarm statement of support. And don't forget, Ryan Reynolds is the same guy who loves attention, cracking jokes about literally anything. But suddenly, when his wife is getting legally obliterated and publicly humiliated, silence. He knows better than to tie himself to this disaster, preferring to stand 10 feet away, pretending he doesn't see the flames, hoping the whole thing burns out before it consumes him too. Meanwhile, witnesses are straight up refusing to testify because they're terrified of Blake's Hollywood influence. That's right. TMZ reported that people who actually know what happened are too scared to come forward because they know exactly what Blake Lively is capable of behind the scenes.
That first subpoena, as you pointed out when we talked on our prior show, it was massively overbroad. It basically asked for everything under the sun, and it was crazy. And it was never going to get granted in full. So I'm surprised they didn't back off and try to do a little more tailored at the beginning.
Let's just pause and acknowledge how insane that is. She's supposedly the victim here, right? The powerless actress who's been wronged. Then why are people too afraid to testify against her? Because this was never about justice, it was about control. And Blake loved having that control until, of course, she lost it. Now she's panicking because her power is slipping, her Hollywood cloud is evaporating, and the world can finally see her for what she really is.
You don't want to believe that execs at the very tippity top are being essentially threatened or bullied or coerced or extorted and by a couple like Ryan and Blake or like Taylor Swift.
And in the most desperate move possible, she and Ryan Reynolds went full supervillain, bringing in the big guns. Enter Nick Shapiro. Yes, you read that right. Blake Lively actually hired a former CIA agent to try to clean up her PR disaster, and not just any random CIA guy.
So let me walk through that. Let's say that Blake Lively's attorneys have a text message that they don't want to turn over to Justin Baldoni and his crew because they're afraid that somebody over there, and when we talk about parties, Justin Baldoni's a party, Wayfair's a party.
Yeah.
Nick Shapiro, former deputy chief of staff at the CIA, is now working as Blake Lively's personal spin doctor. Let that sink in. This is a Hollywood actress in a defamation lawsuit, and instead of hiring a regular PR firm like every other celebrity caught lying, she literally brought in a former intelligence officer, and not just any officer, one with a history of covering up major political scandals.
The AEO category in the protective order is security measures taken by parties or third parties. So
Nick Shapiro is the same figure critics accuse of helping push disputed media narratives, being linked to the Hunter Biden laptop controversy and specializing in public-facing damage control for powerful elites, which raises the obvious question. Why would an actress in a defamation case need a former CIA official handling her public image at all?
Judge points out that, look, the Wayfarer parties have suggested that security measures are not relevant to this proceeding, but they have not raised objections to such information being kept AEO if it is disclosed.
Because this isn't just a PR crisis anymore. It's being framed as a full-blown, government-level cover-up, with claims that Blake and Ryan aren't just playing Hollywood politics, but allegedly pulling intelligence-style tactics to rewrite history, influence media narratives, and suppress damaging material, and then, almost immediately after Shapiro was hired, the New York Times coincidentally published a critical piece on Justin Baldoni, timing that critics point to as suspicious, raising questions about coordination, power, and media influence, because this narrative isn't about justice or clearing her name. It's about using influence to crush an opponent, treating the lawsuit like an actual war, and according to critics, the funniest part is that despite all of it, it still isn't working.
You can't disclose that because somebody, a reporter or somebody from TMZ, somebody could interpret this information and understand it, and maybe
harm somebody.
Next thing you know, you're sitting by Ryan Reynolds having a conversation with him that he's not all that.
Despite all the effort, lies, manipulation, and hired PR goons, Blake Lively keeps losing. Justin Baldoni just scored a major legal victory, and Blake's case now stands exposed as nothing more than a hollow, embarrassing, complete public legal joke.
That are going to be allowed to be attorney's eyes only. But not only that, just because somebody marks something AEO, that's something that Brian Friedman and Baldoni or any of the parties in this case could bring to the judge and say, I don't think that's a proper designation.
Oh, sure.
The judge's ruling didn't merely dismiss her absurd legal demands. It exposed exactly how unhinged they truly were. Blake insisted she needed privacy protections, but the judge made it unmistakably clear. No, the evidence is going public, the case won't be sealed, and all her secrets are coming out for the world to see. And Ryan Reynolds remains silent. Not even a fake, I support my wife, Instagram post, nothing, because even he knows this is a losing fight. The one thing Blake and Ryan could never explain away was a Hollywood executive on tape confirming they personally blacklisted Baldoni. Game over. That's not an allegation anymore. That's not a rumor. That is proof, and that's why all the CIA-style PR spin in the world won't save her. Because you can't rewrite reality, you can't erase evidence that's already out in the open, and you can't gaslight the public when the receipts are right there. Blake believed she could manipulate the legal system, twist the media, and use Hollywood power to win this case. She was wrong. Reality hit back hard, and now she's out of moves. Her career is imploding in real time, her Hollywood connections are abandoning her, her case is a complete disaster, and her next courtroom humiliation could be the final nail in her coffin. Blake Lively's downfall is unfolding live, and the worst is still to come. Subscribe for the next courtroom humiliation now.